I am so tickled to be able to share two great stories with everybody today. And so, first of all, we're going to start out with one of our hospitals. We've got Tammy Stone on the line, who was one of our very first people when we started the monthly mingle to actually share her story, a little bit about her path from, you know, I was born to how I got to quality, which is great and lots of good information. But today, I think she's also going to be able to share a little bit about her team and her hospital and some of the success. And then, Miss Tammy, when you're through, we're going to pivot, and Tracy's going to share with us a little bit about stuff that's going on in his life because this September, as everybody is aware, I'm sure, is Sepsis Awareness Month. So we'll be talking and hearing a little bit about that. So, Miss Tammy, do you have anything you need to share, or do you want me to turn something over to you, or what?
Well, I was going to tell you, I walked in today and I don't have a camera on my computer. I don't know what happened to it. I had it last month. It's not there right now. So I do have a PowerPoint if you'll help me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sure, if you'll take your cursor and go along the bottom of it, you should see a green box that says share screen.
Uh-huh.
And if you click on that, then it will show you every open window that you have on your computer. And you just pick the one where the PowerPoint's open. And then at the bottom of it, it says share. And girl, you're among friends, so that you just take your time. Oh, I see it. Look at that. We see your desktop. It says SGMC. Beautiful. Oh, Nancy's with us. Hey, Nancy. Samantha. Love it. Felicia. Woohoo. Miss Erica's on. And
So what
Tom.
do you see now?
Oh, I see your PowerPoint. It's beautiful. Now, the way you've got it set up and sharing with us, it is where we can see your notes. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
My plan was to have our whole team in here, but we've just been everybody's just been kind of scattered today. So I do have my director of nurses in here, Selena Brady, so she'll be talking with us. I just wanted to go over a little bit of our system so y'all could kind of get an understanding of, where we are in the grand scheme of things. Our main campus is in Valdosta. Now they have like 6 campuses, different campuses under them. We have the Northview campus in Valdosta, Berrien campus, Lanier campus in Lakeland. They have the Lakeland Bell, which is the nursing home. They have a primary care network and an urgent care in Valdosta. So our team works between the Berrien campus in Nashville and the Lanier campus in Lakeland. So here we are, Berrien campus is in Nashville, and that's just a little bit of information. This is just a little bit of information about the 2 campuses. Berrien campus became part of the system in May of 2013, and the next May of 2014, Lanier became part of the system of SGMC. So one of our services, each hospital has like a specialty service. At the Berrien campus, we have the geriatric psychiatric unit, and over at Lanier campus, we have our swing bed program. So this is our team I wanted to highlight this time, and I'll let Selena start and talk about her staff. She is the director. All of these people you see here go between the 2 facilities, and we provide services for both of those campuses. So I'll let her go through her staff. I've talked to y'all before about what I do. I'm the quality manager. I also take care of risk, and I help out with accreditation. When you work on a small campus, you have a you wear a lot of different hats. I'm sure y'all are familiar with that. So we've been working recently on a couple of different projects, and I'll go into that a little bit later, but I wanted to give Celine an opportunity just to kind of go over her staff and what their functions are. I know, Sonia, last time y'all met in Cordele, you was interested in the nurse educator and what role he played between the two campuses.
So Audrey Bradford, she has recently become our nurse manager for both campuses. She just assists me in the day-to-day operations of all the units that we have, making sure that staff is, on time. She does all our chart reviews and chart audits, keeps up with all of them and helps with we've recently switched over to DNB. So she has helped in that transition a great deal. She worked closely with the inspectors when they came, doing chart audits and chart reviews and going over all of that with them. Jennifer Harrison, she is our infection control nurse. She also works at both campuses. Jennifer follows if we have anyone with a Foley or anything like that. Of course, all of our infections, anything that comes up, especially hospital acquired, she traces all that back. But if they have a Foley, she always wants to make sure we've done our Foley education. She rounds on all the units to make sure that anything infection prevention wise is taken care of daily, that we've got all of our barriers up, that everybody is on the right, like droplet precautions if they need to be or anything like that. She was also very big in COVID, not only for the hospital, but also for our communities at both locations. And then we have Brett Richardson. He is a new addition to our team as well. He is our nurse educator for both campuses. Brett makes sure that our clinical nurses, if there's something in the day-to-day operations that they may not be as comfortable doing, he will go out on the floor and help them go over it with them. He is doing that anyway, especially if it's a new process, but he's here day-to-day too, that they can call on if they're unsure of something. Brett has a background working in quality, but also in the ER. He is also a paramedic. So he has a lot of good just education background, very well-rounded, and he helps with anything that we will need in those areas. And then y'all have met Tammy, but she is hand-to-hand with us every day on grievances from any of the patients she helps me with daily. She also rounds with us. She keeps us on track as far as our quality and our core measures and all of those things. And we pretty much, this group right here works together every single day at both campuses. We follow up with each other every day. We have a morning huddle every morning with each of us. And then we call into our main campus and report to them as well. But this is the group that for me, I would be lost without all of them. And we pretty much take care of both campuses.
And I know you asked a couple times about our quality and how we utilized our educator and what we decided to be educated on. We have a nursing excellence dashboard that we keep up with monthly. Included on that dashboard is falls, critical values, ED transfer data, medication events, patient medications compliance. We just have a lot of different quality metrics that we look at on an ongoing basis. When we see trends that we don't like, trending down or trending up, whichever the case may be, we'll track that for a while. And then if we decide that we need education, then Brett gets on board with that. If we decide that we can take care of it in our skills lab that we have yearly, then we go that route. But that's somewhat of, where we identify what education that we need.
We'll see, like Tammy and I, because we do get a lot of the family, concerns or issues, or like she said, if we're reviewing charts and we see something that is concerning to us, that will be something that we target on. We also each year go over things that we don't do a lot of. Whether that be, we do give a lot more blood in Lanier than we do in Berrien. So there is times that we will see an issue with that. So we really focus on that each year, especially if it's something that is high risk, but we don't do a lot of it. So we want to make sure the nurses are still educated on that quite frequently.
The big projects that we have, this is not including, you know, our quality projects. This is big projects that we have going on right now. We started a few months ago utilizing Press Ganey for our journey to high reliability. We have several projects involved with that, mandatory staff training and leadership training with that, patient family engagement, community involvement. I will say our director of nurses over here does a great job in getting involved with community. She is out there just about every opportunity. Recently, this was back during the summer, they did a summer school drive, and some of the group that you just saw was out there. Not me, it was too hot, but there was several of them out there giving away different school items, backpacks, and you know, just school supplies, and representing the hospital that way. The patient family engagement, I think we've talked before about having our advisory council already set up at both campuses, and we're in the process of utilizing that council that is already in place as our patient family engagement. We've just got a few kinks to work out in that. But I can tell you, going from Joint Commission to D&B has, for 2 campuses within 3 or 4 weeks, has taken the majority of everybody's time. So a lot of the other 2 things is kind of taking a back seat on that right there, because they came into Lanier campus first, they went to main campus, and then they came to Berrien campus. So for the ones of us working at 2 different campuses, that was a challenge. And then we do have a new emergency department plan for Berrien campus. So we're excited about that.
Currently, the Berrien campus has just a 4-bed ER, and we see approximately 1,000 patients through that ER each month. So that is a lot of patients in that 4-bed ER. So thank goodness we saw we needed to expand, but so did the community and South Georgia, the main campus as well. So we are looking to next year hopefully start that break ground, and it is looking to be a 8 to 9 bed ER at this time. So we are really excited about that.
And I just wanted to list a few of our weaknesses just related to being, you know, in rural areas. You know, just sustaining the quality initiatives that we put together years ago, bedside shift reporting, safety huddles, and different initiatives like that, you know, has been in place for years and years. And then you think you're doing it, and then you check back and all of a sudden your staff is not doing what your expectations are. So just sustaining what we work so hard to put in place is one of my challenges. Time, you know, working back and between the 2 campuses, even though they're within 26 miles of each other, it still takes time getting between one campus to the other, and just making sure that you're, you know, doing your best to meet the needs of both campuses, I think is what we struggle with at times. And also the fact that being part of a huge system, South Georgia Medical Center, you know, we struggle with the fact our rural hospital is different. Our needs are different at the smaller campuses than, you know, so everything that fits for the system might not fit for us. So, but we've gotten very good at speaking out. We've been encouraged to do that during our leadership training with our high reliability. So we do have a voice, and we are making our needs be known. We have several strengths and wins, I believe, for this small group we survived COVID like every other small community hospital. You know, I'm sure everybody's aware of the stress that puts on a rural community, but we actually came together. Our community came together for us back when the first COVID, we became involved in that. You know, there was a struggle to get masks and different things that we needed. We had a company here, a boat plant actually, that got together and started supplying our masks and our headgear that the staff needed. So had a lot of community support during that time. One of our biggest strengths on these small campuses is teamwork. You know, if one of your team members is missing, then you feel it out here because you just have such a small staff. But we work together very well, all of us, and each one of us has a strength I think we bring to the table together. And really a strength of ours, believe it or not, these rural campuses, they're financially stable at this point. Couldn't say that back probably 6, 7 years ago, but that is what we're working toward, is being financial, stable and being able to just contribute to the system overall. So I like this quote right here, and honest to goodness, I tried to get this team together to get a picture so we could get a picture together, all of us. I've chased them around 2 campuses, and I've yet to get a team picture, but coming together is the beginning, staying together is the progress, and working together is success. And I think that's what we do very well, is work together on these 2 small campuses.
And I will definitely agree with Tammy on that. It honestly takes all of us, and she is right. We all have strengths and weaknesses amongst ourselves. I say we're all put together for a reason, because it just works with all the going back and forth, and I have to be here and you have to be there. It just works for us, and we have a very good group. We have a strong group that works together.
Do y'all have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but oh my gosh, y'all are so good. I can't believe in the midst of everything you're going through, and not to mention that little storm that's brewing out there, we won't even mention, but you did such a good job. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. But I have to ask, your director of nursing that's on, and she said that she has a new nurse manager, and the 2 of you are maintaining the staffing, education, all of that for both hospitals, for every unit, your Jerry Psych, your swing bed, your ER, your OR, all of that?
Yes, ma'am. And if you want to pray for us, we would love it.
Oh my word. That's so much. That is so much.
It is a lot, and especially with the staffing needs that I think everybody's struggling with now. I mean, I know it's every hospital, but we are definitely struggling with that. So yes, it is a lot. But I really think, and I tell Tammy this, that's where the teamwork for me comes into play. I mean, if I can't be somewhere, I know with nothing, I don't even have to worry that they're not going to handle it for me. I can call any of them and say, oh my gosh, I forgot this, or I need this, and every one of them's like, okay, what you need me to do? And it really is that every day. What do you need me to do?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Does anybody else have a question or thought or?
Hey, this is Erica. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. You sound great. And thanks for joining us, Erica.
Sure. I have a question. You said you have a 4-bed ED that you see about 1,000 patients a month. How do you staff that ED? Like, how many nurses? Do you have any techs?
Right now we staff it with 2 RNs, and that is on day shift and night shift. So I have 4 a day. We're very fortunate to have a med surge unit that is literally steps away, probably 4 steps away from them. And my med surge nurses, I do ask them also to be ACLS, my RNs anyway on the floor, to be ACLS and PAL certified. And they all get kind of trained and familiar with that ER. So if we do have a code or anything extra coming in, they are all able to work and jump in there as well. And of course, then if I'm on the unit or at that hospital and anything's called, I respond, my nurse manager, whoever is there will pitch in and help. But just for day-to-day staffing, it is 2 on day shift, 7A to 7P, 2 on night shift, 7P to 7A.
And one physician, 24 hours?
Yes, or either a physician or we all, nurse practitioner or PA. Most of ours are mid-levels.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's wonderful. I didn't even think about that, but yes, that whole staffing matrix is always a little bit of a challenge. Anybody else have anything for Miss Tammy and her phenomenal team? I'm sure it'll come to us once we hang up, but we appreciate, thank you for sharing. And like I said earlier, we just don't have a lot of hospitals that have the luxury of a nurse educator. And I know once you have one, they're not considered luxury. It's an absolute necessity. But on this end, when you didn't have one, it's pretty good. So thank you for sharing how that all kind of works together. So yay! A big shout out. We appreciate you guys. And then I'm just going to let me see if let's see, stop. All right, so back to our main thing here, or to our other screen. I am very fortunate and want to be very respectful that I don't make this flippant and all that, because it's really serious. For anyone who's not aware, because there's so much going on, so much noise in the world, something you may not have really paid much attention to is September is Sepsis Awareness Month. And I know that we all see terrible, terrible things in our facilities and our hospitals that come from sepsis and patients with sepsis, whether they're diagnosed early enough or not, caught a little too late. But Tracy Rutland, one of our peers here at GHA, has a personal story that he has so graciously said that he would share with us. So Tracy, I will turn it over to you and mute myself, and thanks so much for doing that for us.
Thank you, Shonda. I'm going to share my screen here because I just want you guys to see how this is mainly a personal story. But as you know, Sepsis Awareness Month is September every year, and many people, many of us in the hospital situations see those patients that show up at our door and our ER and through the ambulance and everything else that are severe septic shock and have so many issues going on that it's, a very low percentage of them that get a chance to be discharged from the hospital. Let me introduce you to my wife, Rosemary, of 25 years. We discovered, or this picture was taken in 2019 before the epidemic the COVID stuff even started, and we were at a concert together. But anyway, she's been fairly healthy. She had been doing really well during the last in 2021. This is 22, right? 2021, and had gotten her blood sugar down and got all prepped up for a knee replacement. It's her second knee replacement and everything else, and absolutely no sign of what was to come. Within the first couple months of 2022, she found out she had pancreatic cancer, and it was stage 4. And they were optimistic because it was one of those things where they thought that they could treat it with immunotherapy because she did have the gene mutation. And so we started getting the port in, getting chemo started. And this is a picture of her at her first chemo session, still having her hair and everything else at that point. And from the day that they put in the port, there was a little bit of a reaction to it. That was a little strange. And she started running some low-grade fevers and having chills on and off, usually treated by Tylenol, usually accompanied by a call into the oncologist's office that would just say, keep taking Tylenol, keep taking your temperature. If it gets above a certain point, please come into the ER. Not knowing that there was underlying infection, probably at the site of the port, that was causing this fever to grow. And if any of you know how sepsis works, it gets to a certain point that whatever the germ or bacteria or whatever else is causing it gets to growing wild and growing to the point where it's hard to reverse it. So in May, after going back and forth with the doctors about a fever for a week and chills that were so much so that she was shattering her teeth at home and everything else. One day, well, we had just had lunch with a pastor that had come over and brought lunch with us, and she lay down in bed, and I could hear her teeth chattering from down the hallway. So got a neighbor to help me get her to the ER, where they found her temperature to being the only way they could measure her temperature was through a rectal thermometer, and it was 104 degrees there because her teeth were chattering so hard that she couldn't hold the thermometer in her mouth, couldn't breathe. Within an hour, they had intubated her, and they transferred her up to the ICU of the hospital. For the next 20 days, she spent on many antibiotics trying to knock down the infection, and intubated, kind of out of it. And here, for me, I was just building a prayer team to whatever would happen next, being at peace with whatever God was doing. But thankfully, it was during COVID, of course, visitation was very limited. So I was able to spend as much time during visiting hours as I could with her, being the eyes and ears sometimes between shifts of what was going on with her and what questions that she might have. I was trying to share those with the people that were caring for her. So 20 days went past, finally got her extubated. She had several rounds of ileus during that time period because so many organs shut down with sepsis, and trying to get her bowels to start to move and food to start to digest and nutrition. She'd lost another 27, maybe 30 pounds in the course of being in the ICU, even with tube feeding and stuff. She, of course, swole up because of all the fluids, bolus, and everything else that was put on board. At one point, they thought she was having a heart attack. It turned out to be a syndrome called Takotsubo, where the EKG starts to flip on itself, so it looks almost like a heart attack is happening. And but anyway, through the whole thing, the nurses and doctors and techs and radiology and everything else, they finally decided it was time to pull the port, even though they needed a really good, strong central line for the fluids that she needed. They decided to take that chemo port out and put in a IJ line to get her some access. But after she came off the respirator, another 10 days in the between the ICU and the step-down unit and back to the floor. She did come out of the whole thing. Let me just see if I can get my next picture to come up here. And here's a picture of her last weekend with a dog that we rescued a couple of years back and was temporary foster with her. This is Buttons, and she's kind of a shadow of herself. It takes a long time to recover from sepsis. My points in this whole thing is sometimes your providers out there may not be aware of all the signs and symptoms of sepsis, and it's better to check it out, to get the ER to check it out and to realize that it's not there, it's not that, and we need to send her home and everything else. And it's better to be safe than sorry. I wish I had insisted a week or two before she went severe septic that she go to the hospital and get it checked on. But it was just, one of those things where you look back on it and you kind of regret that you didn't force the issue, and not knowing that it wasn't something that would just pass, with time. It was one of those things where I learned from that. So getting the word out there to your community, to your providers, to anybody out in the community about how to recognize some early signs of sepsis before it goes to septic shock is going to save a lot of money on the healthcare system, for one thing. It's going to save a lot of lives, for another thing, and it's going to improve the quality of your discharges, because if you go into severe septic shock and you do survive it and you come out and are discharged, you're such high risk of readmissions. In her case, she's been readmitted twice since her initial discharge from all that. So just heads up about that. Keep that on the forefront. Make sure you go out on the Sepsis Alliance and look at the material that they have out there and post it in public areas and pass it on to churches and fire departments and everything else, because those people are the people that can communicate the need to address these things that even may manifest as things that are just minor cold or whatever else, and really are not and need to be checked on. So any questions for anybody out there?
I love it when you have a quiet crowd. You just don't know. Tracy, I'll speak up and if someone else. And guys, you can always put something in the chat if you're more comfortable with that. But thank you for sharing. And that's just so moving. And I got to tell you, hearing you share that about, because we were all on calls when you were like, yeah, she's like freezing in there. That stuck with me. And then when I was doing clinicals, like a week or two later, patient was there for sepsis, or no, was there for an infection, and was fine when we tucked him in at 9-10 o'clock, and then 2 o'clock, he is like confused, coming out of the bed and shaking. He just cannot get warm, and of course has a fever. And all I could think of is, oh my gosh, she's septic. So sharing stories, sometimes it does make you very vulnerable, but it gives you that patient picture that you keep with you and carry with you, so that it hopefully will help someone else in the future. So, wow, thank you. And definitely lifting up Miss Rosemary. She's a trooper. She keeps you straight.
Yeah. And just one other point. I learned this a long time ago. I think at a Studer seminar or something like that. It may be something everybody else knows about it. Is the adage about nothing about me without me. Even if your patient's sedated and you have no clue as to whether they can hear or not, when you're making decisions about them or talking about their condition and everything else, you're missing a whole lot if you're not there with the patient at the time that they're there, or the patient's family. And there were a few times that I was like thinking to myself that nothing about me without me would have cleared up a couple of confusing points during your treatment that I ended up having to kind of squeeze an edge in, squeeze a question in edgewise, just to be able to express a concern I had with the nurses and the doctors that were caring for her during their ICU stay. But they were overall just an amazing caring team and everything else, and they were very open to hearing my observations and suggestions and questions. So just remember, the family members, the caregivers, the people that are connected with them, life partners or husbands and wives or whatever, are an enormous resource for you as you care for your patients.
I love that. Nothing about me without me. Love it. I just put that in comments because I think that's kind of cool. I know that starting a meeting, often one of the things somewhere back, like you said, some training somewhere we learned a long time ago, if you want something to stick, you tie a patient story to it so that people can remember that picture, that story, that sticks with you so much more than statistics or numbers or volumes or values sometimes. And so I know I went out, just, Googled sepsis and got to, is it the Sepsis Alliance maybe, that had just tons and tons and tons of free resources, things to download. If you guys haven't done anything in your facility, first of all, if you have, please, and would like to share, come off mute and share with us or throw it in the comments. We'd love to know if what you're doing to kind of get the story out about sepsis outside of your hospital walls or outside of the quality department, And another thing is that if you're ever looking for stories, they've got tons and tons of great short stories that you can, 3-minute stories you can share to start out your different meetings. Love it. Love it. Love it. Anything anyone wants to share? Any questions? Anything going on in your facilities that you want to tell us about? We love to hear you know, how great things are going, but this is the right group too if there's some challenges. I love it. Well, that, you know, at the church, when nobody goes down front, it means everybody's perfect. So, or you're just too much into it right now to even be able to talk about it. So you never know where people are. If y'all need us, that's what we're here for at GHA. Please, you see, we've got Samantha. Thanks for being on. And Nancy, we've got Lynn, we've got Tracy, myself. We're all here, and our job is just what can we do to help y'all. So if anything comes up, don't hesitate. We know. I'm not an expert on anything, but I've got some really smart friends. You can see them up on the slides right now. So I can at least point you in the right direction, and we'd love to do anything we can to help. And in case you missed it from the beginning, Lynn was talking about the Patient Safety Summit, that registration is just coming. And let me see, I think she put it in the comments, Patient Safety and Quality Summit. The days are set. It'll be January 10th and 11th at the Ritz-Carlton. Please join us. Apparently, they have lost their minds, and the price on the rooms are going to be astronomical after this meeting. So I'm afraid, even though they're in my backyard, that's the only time I've ever been at the Ritz. It's through meetings. So get there while you can, right, Lynn? So anyway, that's all I got. Samantha, Nancy, Tracy, anybody have anything they want to share? Say, oh, Martha, we love you. Y'all be safe. Lord have mercy. We want all of our.
Y'all be safe if you're in the South in the
Everybody
hurricane.
be safe, please.
Nancy, you be safe too.
That's right. Oh my goodness. I'm east. I'll just be wild and get lots of rain. Thank goodness. But anyway, again, if anybody needs anything, don't hesitate. Give us a yell. Thanks for taking the time to join us. And hopefully we will have a very entertaining selection of information for you again next month. If there's anything in particular that you'd like to know a little bit more about, please throw us an email. We'd love to have some suggestions. Or if you'd like to share about, you know, Erica, you're in a really cool position. You're in a critical access hospital that's like the smallest of a big system. So if you ever wanted to share about what it's like being, you know, the only goldfish in the big pond or whatever, or and Felicia's on the other side where she is surrounded by critical access hospitals. If you wanted to ever share about what your, you know, what's going on in your facility, we'd love to hear. So just let us know, and we appreciate you guys. And that's all I got. So have a great day. Thank you much. Bye, everybody.